It was my fault. I had picked Gloria up every week to take her to the doctor. Her doctor wanted to see her so he could monitor her lung problems. Otherwise, at 95, she was healthy. I drove deep into Stamford, Connecticut to her sprawling house in the woods, and I helped her get into my car. I made sure that she had her seatbelt on. She always had a bright smile. She was a smart, talkative, funny woman who asked me every week how me and my family were doing. And she told me all about hers, about her grandkids, and her husband who helped create cable news, and her cousin, a famous painter whose art, she said, covered the walls in her home. She wasn't bragging. She was just telling me about a life that I could never dream of. She was always curious about my life, a life I think would be hard for her to imagine. She tipped well and was always kind. I always wore a mask, and so did she. I made sure I always had hand sanitizer in the car, and I always wiped everything down before each call. She didn't want an Uber. She couldn't figure out exactly what that was, but she didn't want to ride in one. She liked the idea of a car service. She felt safe knowing that the same person would pick her up each time. I hadn't heard from Gloria in a while. I thought about it, but to be honest, I was focused on how I was feeling. I was tired and achy and had really bad headaches. When I came home from work, my wife's cooking just didn't taste the same. I didn't tell her. She'd be insulted. I didn't get tested at first. I couldn't wait on those long lines. I needed to work. I'm lucky to have a job. I know that was wrong. If I found out that I had the virus, I'd have to stop working for a long time. I went to the emergency room when I couldn't breathe. I waited for hours. I got tested, but they sent me home without my test results. I tried to stay away from my wife and kids, like they said I should. But that's hard in the apartment where we live. I infected one of my kids. When I found out I was positive, I was told to call everyone I came in contact with. I called Gloria, but there was no answer. I had her daughter's phone number in case of emergency, so I left a message for her to call me. Her daughter called the next morning, telling me that she was about to call me when she heard my message, because the doctor told her to alert everyone her mother was in contact with. Her mom was in the hospital with COVID. I could imagine her in the hospital all alone, just like she was in her big house on the hill. I told her daughter why I was calling. There was silence, and then we both cried. I told her I was so sorry. I must have given her mom the virus. Who knows for sure? Maybe I didn't. Maybe she gave it to me. I assured her that we were always careful and we stayed as far away from each other as we could. COVID doesn't discriminate. Who can say how we got it? Living alone, tucked away in a big house in Stamford, Connecticut, could not save her from this virus. I'm better now. I survived. Sometimes I drive by the street where I'd turn off to climb the hill to her house. First time I went to pick her up, she told me I could call her what everyone else did. Glow. And you know what? She did.